Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan, let's fill our cups. Commander decks in hand, the battle's about to start. A podcast for the legends, where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way, in the world of EDH we play. Whoa.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Commander's Pod. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
I'm Jeff.
And thanks again for joining us. We want to talk about the craziness around the Secret Lair drop, the Marvel Secret Lair drop, the fiasco, the end of Magic as we know it, the newest end of Magic as we know
Drama.
it. I mean, this was bad, though. Also, we're going to clarify some stuff from last time or a couple times ago. Just triggered as always, and we'll just kind of go through some stuff. So first of all, the clarification. So we were talking about the new combat rules, and the gist of it was multi-blockers. Now the attacker doesn't have to declare where they're dealing their damage until the deal damage step, and they don't have to kill one creature before moving on to the next. That's kind of what was put out there. But what was the actual change that made that happen is they took out the respond to the pre-damage phase.
Right.
You could, before damage was dealt, you had an opportunity for another phase of assigning damage.
Correct.
And so they took out that step and combined it with the
Deal damage.
deal damage.
Right.
So that basically what you said is correct. You will not have an opportunity once you have passed priority to fog or to, you have to do it as the last blocker. You have to do your fog then, because you can't assume that nobody's going to have a response to your blockers.
Right.
But if they don't, you're not going to get to do anything.
Right. And that was my concern with it, which is why I now further stand that they swung it too far.
So the only
To
part
the
that
attackers.
changes my mind about this at all is the fact that it does make it unfair for that final blocker. If
Right.
one attacker is attacking several players, you as the final blocker, the final player that he's attacking in turn order,
Right.
you're kind of at a disadvantage because you do get to see how the other blockers do, but you still don't get to see the response of the attacking player.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I
But
said.
you have to do anything, you're going to do that.
Right. So basically, let's say I have 3 attackers. I send one at Duncan, one at Jeff, and one at Andrew. Duncan, being the next person in turn order, has his 2 blockers. He declares them. If he doesn't do a fog, a combat trick, or anything, opportunity gone.
Yep.
Then it goes to Jeff. Same exact thing. He declares
His
blockers.
opportunity might not be gone because he can respond
What I
to
mean
the
in that-
next player's blocks.
Right. If no one does anything in regards to reinstating the reinstating priority by the time it gets back to the attacker, myself.
Right.
Dunzo.
Right. But
Blocking reinstates priority.
yeah, because you can respond to somebody's blockers. So that's what I'm saying. The final blocker has no other blockers
Yeah.
he can respond
So the last
to.
guy in this case, which would be Andrew, as soon as he declares his blockers and passes priority, that's it. There is no
Well,
more.
no, that's not true. The blocker before Andrew would have final response to
what I'm-
Andrew's blockers. See what I'm saying?
No, I don't think so, because declare blockers is one step. Everyone has to declare their blockers simultaneously.
That's true. That's true. That's what I'm missing.
That's-
there.
yeah,
You're
so-
right. That's
so
what I'm missing.
once
you have
everyone
to declare
has
them, you can't respond to each blocker because they all have to.
They
be
all
declared.
have to be declared simultaneously, technically.
That's
So
true.
this is
declare
a double
blockers is-
clarification.
Yep.
So
Clarification.
Yes.
once that happens, once everyone has declared their blockers and everyone passes, that's it. No fog.
Yep,
No
you're right.
unless the attacker
Responds.
by doing something. That's it.
And here's what you can hang your hat on, though. There will be attackers who respond when they don't need to and tip their hand, and
Right.
that's what you're going to get.
So
to.
I'm hoping that I play against people who are really bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happens.
Listen,
all the time.
So,
Just play against Jeff, you'll be fine.
the entire
When?
thing will resolve itself. People will figure out new ways to work around this.
Yes, that
They'll
is true.
figure out new tricks, and it's still going to be a fun game. It's just slightly simpler.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, and then the other thing too, because I went back and re-listened. So when I was talking initially about this with the multiple blockers and how you can assign any amount of damage to anyone you want without having to kill the first creature first.
Yep.
What I said initially was if you have a creature with death touch and you're getting blocked by multiple things, prior you had to kill the first creature before the damage would go through
Right.
to this next creature.
You don't have to now.
Don't have to.
Nope.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
So
that is what it is. We went through that last time. That part we haven't. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It is very different.
It's just, in my opinion, doing both just swung too much in the attacker's favor. If they did one of them, like, hey, you can assign a damage any you want, but you can still do combat tricks.
So here's a funny thing too, though. But the thing that also changes is the attacker can now not. If they had done it differently, it could have been worse, because I could see an instance where they're like, okay, you can assign only 2 damage to this creature, which wouldn't kill it, and 3 damage to this creature wouldn't kill it. And then in the previous rules, you could then cast Death Touch on your creatures. And now it's like, aha, I killed you. You can't do that now because there is no respawn to damage.
I mean,
they could have made it worse, is what I'm saying.
I feel like if they would have picked one of the 2 things that they changed about this, it would have been a little more fair.
I just think at this point we've made our thoughts clear.
Yeah.
Let's try it, see how it is, play it for a little while. If it ends up being bad, let's discuss it again, and we'll.
I mean, I think Johnny likes it, so clearly, so if someone likes it, everybody should like it. Yeah. No, I get your concerns though.
Yeah.
So the counterspell segment for today is: are we gluttons for punishment? And by that I mean, so we have been, not us personally, but people have been burned by Secret Lair yet again.
Right.
They've been burned by Wizards yet again. Wizards, when they started doing Secret Lairs, people were concerned. They're like, I don't trust Wizards. I trust my local game store. I want to buy from them. I know what they're going to do. I don't know what Wizards going to do. And it almost is like Wizards is like, yeah, you got us. They just don't, as long as they're making money, they don't seem to care. Are we gluttons for punishment where we keep going back? We keep hoping they're going to change. This time will be different. Yes, they sold out of the Mythic Edition Secret Lair early and people got shafted. But you know what? Monty Python's coming out and that's going to be fantastic. Oh, wait. Nope. They sold out of that one immediately. Most people didn't get a chance to get, I'm sorry,
Right.
even before that, the anniversary Secret Lair, the 30th anniversary countdown, that one sold out very quickly. Mm-hmm. Each time we keep going back to the well.
But what's our other choice? Your other choice is a secondary market.
The other choice is we as consumers, and it has to be a group effort, and this is why I don't think it will ever happen, have to stop. I mean, I almost feel like we're in an abusive relationship when we keep going back.
So it's a bit like what Black Friday used to be, right? They're
Right.
going to advertise these amazing deals, right? And if you were going to get them, you had to wake up at 4:00 in the morning and stand in line. And then even when the door opened, you're literally getting run over by people. But if you want that discount, that's what you got to do. And in a way, it's sort of like that because there is a secondary market you could buy it on. You're going to pay more. If you want to buy it for the cheaper price, you got to fight the system. The thing we're going to talk about today though is at least when you know you have to be at a store at 4 a.m., you get in line. And it doesn't always work this way. Some Black Fridays, people cheated.
Oh, yeah.
They cut the line. They did different things.
Yep. They were making backdoor deals.
But at most of the stores, they tried really hard to try to keep it fair by handing out numbers, different things like that. But these things happen on limited supply runs. Wizards knew that there was potential for all of this, and they wanted it anyways because it probably caused a lot of publicity, and they probably made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think the best description is we're kind of feeding the monster, and then we complain about the monster.
Yeah, that's kind of
like that's what's happening. It seems like, I didn't partake in the Secret Lair for Marvels, and
I mean, have you
really
bought
done
any
it.
of the Secret Lairs?
No, I haven't. So, but I mean, I know that pretty much every single time it happens, I get to hear about it from, at the very least, Duncan, if not Duncan and Jeff. So, but yeah, it is one of those things where, to me, it seems strange that, like, I don't understand why, like, Wizards wouldn't, they're okay with selling all their other products at stores with through their licensed dealers and stuff. But this one, they're like, nah.
They don't want to share the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
know?
need a middleman.
Yeah, they're like, we just want this one all for ourselves.
Yeah, I guess. But
It's
I mean,
their way of selling, like TCG and Card Kingdom and all those other companies. They're selling singles, essentially.
right.
And so the argument when they went to, instead of print on demand, they went to, they had a set amount printed,
right.
was that people were complaining because it was taking 6 months to a year to get your product because they would sell so many.
Right.
Which I
And
didn't
so that was
understand
the
that. I didn't
argument.
care how long it took.
Well, people did, and especially when then Wizards, it used to be, okay, well, we won't charge you till right before. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we're charging you now. It's getting ready to ship. You get this message. Well, getting ready to ship means you'll see it in the next 6 months.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. People complained about that, and now they got this new thing, which, are you happy? Because they
Right.
listened to you.
Yep.
They're not doing what you were complaining about. Now they're doing something, in my opinion,
you know,
much
it's like
worse.
the curse of getting everything you asked for.
Yeah.
Right.
You didn't realize what the consequences of that were going to be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Wizards is like, oh, you want us to limit it and make it more rare, and we can just charge more, and we can,
Right.
oh, okay.
I mean, they really haven't charged more
They
since
did
that.
on
They
this
charged
one.
more on this one, but you have to figure that's to cover the cost of the IP.
I have a feeling that you will see this be the standard price next year.
Well, we'll see.
I think this is now standard. You will wait and see. When they just instituted MSRP and brought it back, the prices bumped just a little. And I think that's kind of what this did.
Well, let's get into what the actual issues here
Well,
were.
do you want to? Do you don't have any triggers today?
Oh, no, I can do triggers. We had a trigger this morning.
Well, you did.
Yeah, I had a trigger. So I like marketing quite a bit, but we're at breakfast and there is holiday specials on
Right.
the thing. And some people are like, oh, it's going to be a trigger that it's too early for holiday specials. No, it's not. I actually like early holiday specials. But this was a holiday special ribs at a breakfast place.
Well, obviously,
How's
then
that a
they must be
holiday
like
special?
mulberry flavored, right? Or
No,
right?
they're normal ribs. I'm like, how's that a holiday special?
Well, because
What do they
they've
have,
never had
candy
them
canes
before.
on them.
They'd never had them
It's
before. Is what the
stupid.
answer was.
It's dumb.
That's why they're a
That's
holiday
what's
special.
triggering me.
Okay.
Stupid ads for things that aren't holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't
mean-
think you understand what a holiday special means. Then.
Yeah.
I think you're confused.
It needs to be holiday.
It means it's special for the holiday, meaning
No.
they
Yeah,
don't
but
normally have ribs.
I do kind of
Now
agree with
they
them.
do have
Normally, it
ribs.
would be a holiday style food.
yes.
Like, hey, we have a holiday special prime rib. For many people, that's their special holiday meal. So that makes sense. You know what I mean? Hey, we have our holiday special turkey.
Yeah,
So
that
I do
makes
get, I
sense.
get,
Turkey
I
makes
get
sense.
his complaint.
But ribs is
Do
weird.
I wish it was about magic? Yes. Do I wish it was relevant to our conversation? Yes.
I mean, it's relevant that
but
we
my
had this
triggers are my
conversation
own.
at
Nobody
breakfast.
asked me what mine are, so we'll just move on.
Well,
and
your
let-
trigger is my trigger.
yeah, my trigger is you.
Yeah.
So anyway, so just one more thing before we get into the Secret Lair thing. So that doesn't do what you think it does. So I see this all the time, and we've talked about the stack and how it works,
right.
right? We've talked about triggered abilities, but still I see people, there will be a triggered ability on a creature. When that ability goes on a stack, like if it says at the beginning of upkeep, right?
Right.
The ability's already on the stack.
Yep. It already.
And they'll try and
exists.
kill the creature and be like, ta-da!
No.
And I'm like, you didn't do anything.
Well, they did something. They killed the creature.
Sure, but it's
Still
not
gonna
going to
happen.
stop the triggered ability
Correct.
unless that triggered ability's resolution involves that creature.
Right.
If it says when this ability triggers, target creature's power, blah, 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 blah.
Well, I got a good example about this. So Prosper is one of those ones where people will try to do this with, specifically because he says at the beginning of your end step, exile top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of your next turn. So people think if they kill him, oh, you can't play that
Can't
card.
play it anymore.
No. I
That's
can
part of the
still,
whole resolution
I
is I
can
get to do
still
that.
play that card. So he's one of the ones where people will misunderstand that, oh, if he's dead, you can't play that card. No, I can still play it. It's
And
part
I
of
have
the
heard you
ability.
before, too, when
Yeah.
somebody goes to kill it. You're like, well, are you responding to the ability? Or
Yeah,
are you
you're
responding to
responding-
me trying to go to my end step?
Or yeah, because
And they're like, no, I don't want you to go back in your turn. I'm responding to the ability.
right. And I'm like, okay,
cool.
I still get that card. I can still play it. I just won't get the treasure because he's not out to see it get played unless I recast him. So he's one that a lot of people do that with, and they make that mistake of, if I kill him, you can't cast that card. You just exiled. No, I still can.
Yeah.
That's part of the ability.
So this one's pretty simple, because if you go back and listen to the stuff about the stack, it will make sense.
Right.
But once the ability's on the stack, you're not removing the ability by removing the creature.
Right.
So
I mean, short of stifling it, that's about the only thing you can do to stop an ability that has going to hit the stack.
Or
You gotta
or
stifle
kill him
it.
at the proper time.
Yeah, or if you kill at the proper time, but it's not even going to the stack then. So
Yeah.
that's right. But
okay, so let's talk about this. And there's a lot to this more than just what happened with the Marvel Secret Lair. So I want to talk about all of it.
yeah.
All the things.
Well, before we get into this real quick, I'm going to be honest. This is mainly going to be Jeff and Duncan because I was not involved in this
But
at
you'll
all.
have opinions.
I mean, I'll say,
Sloan
I'll do
always
drive-bys.
has opinions.
I'll do drive-bys for sure. But this is mainly going to be Duncan and Jeff today because they were directly affected by
So
this.
let's tell it from our side, right? Jeff and I work at the same place, and we said, hey, we live on the East Coast. So at noon on Monday, we need to be on our computers with it already loaded, ready to go.
On a
I
lunch
have done
break.
what's that?
On a lunch break.
Right, lunch break. So he said, we'll take our lunch break at like quarter of starting, and that way at noon
Right.
we're ready to go. And I have done this a few times. So I said, it has to be right at noon. He's like, and we'll keep hitting refresh. I go, you don't have to hit refresh. And I told this in our previous episode, but I'll say it again just in case you haven't watched it.
Previous episode now.
Yeah. I said, you can just have the page loaded. And sure enough, at 11 o'clock, they had the page there, but you couldn't buy anything. Before 11 o'clock, it said, we're still loading or whatever. We're still getting the site ready. And you could go to the page of the product you wanted to buy and have it ready. And then you just got to click add to cart, checkout.
You had to sign in also.
You had to sign in also. And they actually sent emails saying, don't forget to sign in. And that's going to come important later. So we did as we said. At noon, we were on. Now, here's the thing.
And we checked our credit cards and everything.
Yep, we were
Ready to go.
prepared. Jeff wanted to buy. He was like, I'm going to get 2 foils. And then he saw that there was a bundle that had a foil and a non-foil. And Jeff, being the stingy guy he is like, I'm going to save a few bucks.
Well, also a few seconds.
Well, but I don't think at the time you thought that was going to be as relevant.
Oh, it's easier to click buy one thing.
Easier,
than two
yes, I
things.
buy that. Jeff goes for easy. Jeff wants
You're
wants
full
the
of crap.
easy button all the time.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyway, so we were ready to go. The difference is he was buying the bundle. I was buying the foil edition. I wanted 2. So I had to click +1, add to cart. And I'll just preface it by saying I didn't have to do that. There was a better way to do that, but we'll get into that. So him and I, when it hit noon, he clicks add to cart, checkout. I click +1, checkout, add to cart, checkout. So one more click. Literally, I say I was on within 30 seconds. It was probably less than 15. He was probably on in less than 10 or 5. We were quick. All right. I will also skip to the end and say we both got it with qualifications here. When we got in line, it immediately said more than an hour wait time.
Right.
Right.
More than an hour. So we wait and we're kind of checking on it every few minutes. I'm sitting, my job for much of the morning, I'm at my computer checking in things. So I'm able to just kind of click back and say, okay, yep. So I'm no longer like, when I'm off my lunch break, I'm still able to monitor it without interrupting workflow, but I'm just keeping my eye on it. Even before I'm off break, I think it was within 6 minutes. The line, the guy, it shows an icon of a guy kind of walking and a progress bar behind him.
Yeah.
And it's at the top, it says more than an hour. And the guy stops walking. I'm like, whoa, Jeff, guy stopped walking. I'm texting with him. He goes, yeah, mine too. Says there's a delay. And so you read it and it said, we've encountered a technical difficulty. We're working to resolve it. The queue is paused.
Yeah, I was actually away from my desk. You texted me.
Yeah.
And then I ran back to my desk. I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. So we're like, okay. And it was, 20 minutes or so? I think it took before it came back up.
It was longer than that, I think. But it was hard to tell because I was in my office for a bunch of the time. And then I know at 1 o'clock, so that was an hour later, it had started moving by then.
Yeah.
But I had
I-
a business meeting I had to go to.
Right. So I think it was within 20 minutes. But when that business meeting started was when originally you thought you would have been able to check out.
Right, correct.
You know?
An hour later.
Yep. And that is not how that worked out.
No, matter of fact, going to the business meeting, they said, "Hey, can you?" We had a scheduled meeting, but they still said, "Hey, can you meet?" And I was like, "Yeah, as long as I can bring this computer in here and look at this screen." And they're like, "Yep." And so, and we actually talked about it and joked back and forth, me and the person I was meeting with, as we're watching the thing go up and down and up and down.
So,
and up
so
and
that's
down,
the next part of our journey, right?
Yeah.
So we're here more than an hour. Okay, we're prepared for more than an hour, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But then it gets down to just like, I'm at 36 minutes. And I'm like, I'm at 45 minutes. Now, mind you, this is within 5 seconds of us clicking together at the same time. We're within 5 seconds that we clicked. And there's like a 20-minute difference or whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's going down. And then all of a sudden I think you were at 20 minutes.
Yeah, or lower, yeah.
Or lower. It jumps up to like, I don't remember what it said for you, but I know mine, it said 50 minutes.
Yeah, it went up a bunch.
And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
But
whoa.
it did it multiple times.
Yes. And then it went up to 58 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it said more than an hour again.
Yeah, mine never got to more than an hour, but mine did go up.
So, and then throughout the course, it would go down a little bit and then it would go back up. And then it would go down a little bit and then it would go back up.
That's right.
And then finally it went down. And the other thing I had told Jeff to be aware of is that when you get close to the end, it kind of jumps. You won't be waiting as long in those final minutes as it says you will.
Yeah.
Because they give people a certain amount of time to check out in that estimate. It doesn't take that long.
Yeah, but can I talk about this next part?
So are you talking about our experience? Because I'm just talking about that now. Sure.
Yes. So this part hit me hard because
Oh, yeah.
I'm in the meeting, right? So I'm focused because, we're running a business. And it goes to the cart and I'm like, hey, I got it. And the other person's like, oh, that's awesome, dude. This is great. And look at the cart. The cart's empty. So I'm like, oh, I did something wrong. Something's not working.
And you're immediately the instant thought, I'm sure, because this is what went through my mind is, I lost it. I'm not going to get it.
Yeah. I'm out. I'm not getting it. And I was like, I'm just going to refocus on the meeting because, we're a pretty large business. So there are decisions to be made. And let's just be honest, a $400 whatever Secret Lair is not really very important in the scheme of things. So I was like, it's fine. I'm just going to focus on this. But and then like probably 15 minutes into talking, I was like, you know what? Oh, hold on. Let me go back out and try to go back in. I might as well give it another effort.
And that time limit matters because it tells you at the top you have 20 minutes when it's your turn to check out.
And it could have been 18 minutes. I didn't track it at all.
Right.
I had no idea. I just at some point during the meeting I was like, you know what? My kids want this too. I want it. It'd be cool to have it. It's probably never going to come again. So why don't I just try again? Even if I go back into the queue, maybe I still can wait in the queue. And so I was like, I'll just try. So I went back out. And then when I went back out and went back in, then it was all there.
Right.
And at that point, I probably could have added more stuff if I wanted to.
You could, yeah. They gave you that
But
opportunity.
I was, at that point, so happy it was there.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not doing anything else. Click, go, get it. I got it.
Okay, so now that's him. Now remind you, I clicked within 5 to 10 seconds of him.
Right.
Because I had to click one more button.
Right.
I had the same thing. Get there, the cart's empty. I go and sign back in. Boom, my cart's back. And that's when I see, oh, I could add more. I took about 5 seconds. I said, do I want to add one more? I thought about it. I'm like, I'm spending a lot of money. I'm good. Let somebody else have one. And I add to cart and I check out. And again, my information's already loaded because we've checked out there before. Jeff checked his to make sure it was loaded. His credit card information was in there. I did not have to enter any of that. Good to go, checkout.
Right.
So from when I got into checkout, I was faster than you because you took that whole meeting to decide to go back.
Probably 15 minutes faster.
But so probably we were doing this about the same time because I was 20 minutes behind you in the queue.
That's a good point, yeah.
So come to find out.
Except for my stuff is saved once I'm in the cart, I think.
Mine was too.
No, but like when you got into that cart, are you talking about the extra card now?
Yeah.
That probably wasn't saved there because I got into the cart 20 minutes
So that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
We have since looked at our stuff and figured out he got the Earth's Mightiest Emblem Arcane Signets. I did not.
Right.
We
But
checked
becau-
out about the same time. We clicked within seconds of each other,
Yeah.
and that little bit made a difference. So
But be-
now let's talk.
But because you did the 2 foils, you probably got close to the same value.
the value as of right now, when we're talking about it, it's about the same because you got 2 arcane signets, and right now they're selling for about $70 on the
yeah.
TCG player, and I got the foil, which is about $100 more than the non-foil.
Yeah.
So you got about $40 more value as it stands right now, but I
Okay.
think that will come down a little.
Yeah,
once
that
everybody
arcane
has it.
signet it's going to skyrocket possibly.
Yeah. So now let's talk about why. So, for instance, why our time went back up after we were already given a lesser time, why it jumped back up. Come to find out, there were several glitches that were allowing people to circumvent the line. And I say glitches, but they're really flaws in the system. One of them was a glitch, and it was a link that you could use to bypass, once you were in the queue, to skip straight to checkout.
Right, which wasn't actually, it's not a glitch. It's just sort of the way it
It's
works.
a back door,
Yeah.
is what it is for the programmers, and it got out there.
And people knew about it, and the company that is responsible, I mean, obviously the company that's responsible is Wizards, is Hasbro, but the company that makes the software knows about this and apparently had
Warned
communicated
Wizards
this to Wizards
to close
that this
it.
was a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that, but there was an easier way.
Yeah.
You didn't have to deal with any of that. If you tried to buy the extra life secret lair, added it to your cart, you went right to checkout. Once in checkout,
If you were in the queue already, I think.
no, you didn't need to be in the queue. It doesn't use the queue because the queue was only for Marvel Secret Lair.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you were in the checkout, you could then add the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, and people went into the extra turns. I think it was
That's what I just said. The
the extra
life-
turns one,
extra
but they
life.
did that at 11 o'clock. By the way, I don't know if
Okay,
I
but
told you
people
this at
didn't figure
breakfast.
that out maybe till then.
But some people did that at an hour before and were already in the queue for the magic stuff before the queue even started.
So it still put them in the queue if you added it to the cart through another way? I don't
Apparently,
think it did.
because I think you had to be in the queue for that URL to work.
So maybe
or
the-
for
Okay, so regardless,
we didn't do any of these
Yeah, so we can't tell
tricks,
you-
so we don't
There
really
are
know. We're
videos
listening
out
to
there.
other people.
there are videos out there of some not celebrities, but some influencers who did this, and some influencers who didn't necessarily do this but shared it with their listeners so they could do it.
Right.
So, but that's why our time kept jumping up, is because people were jumping the line.
Correct.
So it's like if you're standing in a line, well, your line gets longer because more people are coming in. Even though you've traveled half the distance, you're now getting pushed back because people are pushing in at the front, just like a physical line. So I did not know that at the time, and I frankly am furious that Wizards allowed that type of thing to happen. Now, I'm furious from the point of view of somebody who still got it. I just didn't get the arcane signet.
Right.
But even when I was first furious, I thought I had been fast enough to get the arcane signet.
Which you'll get one arcane signet.
Yeah, because you agreed to
So
sell me or trade me.
here's the
yours,
thing
that's
I want
fine.
to say to preference all this. I know a lot of people's emotions are high. Obviously, looking back, I might have bought more because it's a great gift to give out to people. But there's sort of a thing that, I run our business by, I run my life by, which is to consider others as more significant than yourself. It's sort of the idea that when you think of a situation, you go, that person is a good person, maybe even a better person than me. And so I think higher of them. And it's a good way to go around where you're not judging people or thinking too highly of yourself. And so at first, when Duncan and I talked about this, my view was this is absolutely cheating. This is absolutely wrong. But then when I started listening to some of the other content creators who did share this URL, some of the content creators that did use this backdoor, I have to look at it a little bit differently. I want to give them a little grace. Maybe they didn't really know to what degree they were doing it because you're in the heat of the moment and you're just sort of making a quick decision. And it's hard for me to act as a judge when I didn't know about the back door when I was doing it. And had I known about the back door when I was doing it, would I have chosen the back door? And I can say, no, I wouldn't have. But I don't know because I didn't have that option. And so it's unfair for me to sit in judgment over others.
So, and what I will say is this: I don't mind at all judging others. I don't mind. And while I have calmed down a little, I still say shame on you to those that were using the code. What I have come to realize is those that used the other way and went through Extra Life, added the thing to their cart, then went and added the Marvel after to circumvent. I'm not as mad about that. That is a flaw in the system. Exploiting a flaw in the system is different from using a cheat code.
I think the URL was just that.
No.
It was just the URL to that.
But it's a you know that you are circumventing the things that are already in place.
But didn't the people who went to Extra Lives also know they're not?
They're still using the same thing anybody else could have done with. Somebody else could have stumbled upon the way they did it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody could have accidentally, hey, I'm buying this Extra Life. I can't get the Marvel Secret Lair. Then got to checkout and realized, wait, I can just add it.
I suspect that's how they did it, and then they just took the URL from that checkout and shared it with everybody.
I don't think that's possible because those URLs are the token at the end is linked to your cart and your ID.
Oh, okay.
And your sign in. That's why you have to sign in probably.
Yeah, it is possible, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they are two separate exploits, and the one you could accidentally do theoretically and get there. The other you had to have specific knowledge and an effort to do.
Yeah.
And anything like that to me is obviously something you probably shouldn't be doing.
And
it's probably something you're not meant to do.
I will say this. Although I don't want to judge them for their decision in the moment, I will say I hope that the people who passed this URL out, who told people about it, maybe even who used it themselves, I would hope that now, after the fact, where you see how it affected people, that it was essentially cutting in line. I mean, it really was. And other people didn't get the product because you did that. They got in line at the right time. They got on at 12 o'clock. They waited like they were supposed to, and you cut the line. I would hope that now at this point, you would look back on your actions and maybe have a different point of view. That's up to you to do that. But I would hope you would have some.
I want to get Sloan's input here real quick. But first, the other thing I want to say is that the reason I don't believe I would have done that is because after everything we had gone through to get to where we were, I knew that we were within moments of the whole thing being gone. Within moments.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour at most.
Yeah.
Just to let the people get through the queue. I looked at it and said, I know I could make money. I had 2 on my cart. I could add 8 more and instantly sell those and make money. And I didn't because I wanted to be fair to those behind it. Even the one extra I considered, I said, no, the reason I didn't do it was to allow others a chance to get something that I had gotten.
Yeah.
So that's why I can say with fair confidence that I would not have exploited that.
Right.
Because I had a test of integrity moment there and I chose the right path. And I'm not saying I always do.
And
I'm not perfect.
We're not really scalpers either. We're not in this game to sell cards
I
and
got
make money.
2 and I have promised that I will raffle one off if we hit 100 subscribers, and I'm going to specify what that means before we end. I will go through that and what that means, and I'm still going to do that, even though that this thing is right now selling for $700.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still going to do that. There are qualifications we're going to have to hit for me to do that. But if we hit these qualifications, I will 100% do that. But anyway, I'll say that before the end. But my greatest flaw, I've been told many times, is I am overly concerned with what is fair.
I mean, you don't build your decks like that.
It's still fair. It's still fair.
Gotcha.
I may not build them, but I play them fair.
He's worried about other people being fair,
Right.
Johnny.
I am making sure everybody plays fair with my decks. I consider myself the table sheriff.
You are the
No,
judge
You're the
Yeah, I'm
you're
the
the
judge, the
table
jury.
troll.
and the execution.
Maybe, but anyway. So, but Sloan, what's your take on all this?
Yeah. So I mean, listening to everything that happened, I am completely unbiased. I have zero skin in this game. I've never bought a Secret Lair. I didn't buy this one as much as I would like to. It's just not something I can afford. So with all of that being said, Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you were someone who was putting out a way to circumvent the system that was put in place by the selling party intentionally and letting people know, hey, if you're my followers, here's a way to get around the queue and they pretty much guarantee you're going to get the product even though you got in late. That to me feels a little underhanded. That feels a little, even if it wasn't technically not right by the standards, if you kind of look at it like broadly, something probably should have told you, if you're able to jump everybody in line to basically guarantee you're going to get it, and especially if you're potentially an influencer of someone that is maybe more of a I want to turn around and sell this, a scalper if you want to call them or whatever, and you're encouraging people or letting people know, hey, you can jump around the entire line, and then those people are going to be the people who are going to buy 10 of them. I mean, to me, that does feel a little underhanded. That I personally would be very upset about that. The second way that you mentioned, where you go into the other secret layer, you start buying it, and then the Marvel thing pops up there open for you. If that was me, if I was on there, if I got on the website and it looked like, hey, my queue's forever, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And there's other secret layers on there. I'm like, oh, you know what? I want that one anyways. Let me go buy that one. And then it just happens. I'd be like, I don't know if I can be upset at that person, like you said, that almost just stumbles across it unintentionally. Because
but to be clear, there were people that stumbled across it, but I think most people
were told by those people.
They knew how to do that, and they did it to circumvent the line. It wasn't a happy accident for most people.
And I do think, again, the people who intentionally found a way to get around the line, as it were. I do feel like there is a little bit of underhandedness to that. But if you were someone who just accidentally came across the other secret layer, and then it's like, hey, do you also want to add the Marvel one? You're like, this can't work, could it? Like, there's no way this would work. And you do it and it works. Like, I don't know if I can be as mad at you for doing that. Now, if you're like, I'm going to buy 10 of them, maybe a little bit of a different story. But if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to add one and see what happens and try to check out, and it works. Like, I don't know if necessarily I can be mad at you about it, but I would say the whole situation, I will say the most frustrating thing about the whole thing is that according to the developers of the website, they explicitly told Wizards this was a problem, and Wizards ignored it. That is where I would be more frustrated out of everything, regardless of the people who sent the URL, regardless of the people who found the way through the other secret layer. Out of all that, Wizards, in my opinion, is the most to blame, because according to the developers, they were told this is an issue, it needs to be resolved, and Wizards said, don't care.
Okay, now I will say the part we forgot to mention.
Fix it in time.
Right, but hold on.
They could have pushed it.
The thing that we didn't say, which we found out after the fact and in the process of all this, so the point at which our time steadied out and stopped going back up, Wizards did stop it. And in fact, then when people tried to exploit that URL cheat, it put them at the back of the line. It started their timer over.
Right.
So it not only stopped it, but punished people trying to do it.
But here's the point. They could have done that before it happened.
Yes, they could have.
So in my opinion, them saying, no, we don't want to do anything about it, basically, as you may have mentioned before, was they want a money grab, right? They want to make all the money off these secret layers, which is why they sell it through themselves. So they probably looked at that and said, well, that's probably an additional cost for us to spend more manpower to try to figure out how to stop that from happening. Let's see if anyone figures it out.
They told them how to stop it.
And if they figure it out, then great, we'll stop it. Well, otherwise, let's not worry about it.
They didn't figure it out during the Monty Python thing because it was the same system, right?
Well, we don't know if people exploited that.
Well, we would have known.
It was not as blatant if they did.
Yeah.
Right.
So my point is, they might have been like, look, we just did 2. They didn't know. So it should be fine. I don't know. It seems stupid. It's for people who didn't get it. It's terrible. People who waited in line.
The system's
I think
terrible,
4 to 6 hours. 4 to 6 hours. Some people waited to be told it wasn't there.
Yeah, they didn't then have the queue stop and say. And the other thing I'll point out, it still has Marvel Secret Lair on their front page the super drop as if you could buy it.
No, it's all blacked out now.
The individual listings are all blacked out.
Even the
Even
one
the
you go
bars?
into
Okay.
now,
But
they
but-
fixed that.
But
it was that
for the
way
next
for a day
or two after, it was bright and colorful and looked like you could just click. Oh, I can go get it.
because that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
But then when they realized people were upset about it, they changed it. But they probably should have had better foresight.
Right.
That's always a challenge in business, is to be proactive instead of reactive.
So the arguments I don't like are, one, people say it's not the people's fault, it's Wizards' fault. Wrong and right. It is both fault. And then from the people who bought, it's like, the attitude is kind of like, don't hate the player, hate the game. We figured it out. It's okay. No, I hate that term. I hate that mentality.
Yeah.
What you were doing is messing over people in the line.
Yeah, you're cutting
You
the line.
know that you are deliberately shafting other people
Right.
through your actions. You're being greedy. There is no other word for that. You're being greedy. You say, I want it more than them.
Yeah.
If you're religious, use the word covet. You are acting on covetous behavior. You are deliberately preventing people who had a better right to have it than you of getting it.
There's also another issue, which I really thought of as I was going through it, and I think we talked about it a little bit, which was I have a job where I can be on the computer and spend an hour and 15 minutes trying to buy a frivolous thing if I want to. How many people out there don't have jobs that can do that? And so right from the beginning,
Me.
right from the beginning,
In the same company.
right from the beginning, you cut out a whole bunch of your people
player
who
base.
love this game, and that's really super unfair. And they could have set this limit at 2 per person.
I would even say 4
I
would be a reasonable number.
For whatever they do, it didn't have to be 10. But now
Right.
what I will say is the people that still wanted to buy 10 would probably just have 10 people that they know that don't play Magic or something, or 10 of their store workers,
Or just
do the
multiple
same
accounts.
thing.
Even the limit of 10, there are sellers on TCG selling 20.
Right, because they had someone else do the same thing
Right.
with them who didn't want the product.
Right. And there's probably some that have even more than that.
Sure.
And to me, that should be something that Wizards go out and targets. Right now they have 20 listed. They should be going, send the Pinkertons there. That would be a good use
But
of the
there's
Pinkertons.
nothing wrong with what they did.
No, there is.
No,
there
there's
was a
not.
limit set in place, and they said, if we find out that you have circumvented the limit, you will get nothing.
But they didn't. They bought 10 and someone else bought 10.
Yeah, but then both were really for them.
But it doesn't, you can't, like, if
Again,
I,
dude,
dude,
don't
if
hate
I
the player,
give you
hate
an
the game. I
arcane
don't
signet, they can't do anything about someone giving someone other stuff or
okay,
selling it to them.
They don't selling it to them, the person buying it. No, there's no fault on them unless it was stolen merchandise.
Right.
But the selling more than you should have even been able to buy should be targeted. You circumvented our system.
We
You're cut off.
think, I mean, they could just make the argument that they had people buy it and they paid them to buy it and then they bought it off of them. I mean, there's tons of, but if they just made the limit 4 instead of 10,
Right.
that would have made a difference.
It would have made some difference. And so the other thing is, some people use that limit of 10, and I'm sure this is Wizards' argument, to buy from multiple people.
Sure.
We heard stories of a bunch of people going on
Yep.
at the same time. The person who
Group
got the
buying.
best, we
Yeah,
should
they-
have done that. We should
Yep.
have done that.
Yep.
But we were like, no, we'll be our own men and we'll take care of our own thing, and we should.
Well,
both
we didn't
be,
think of
Well, men's a loose term.
All right.
for Johnny.
We'll be our own nerds. We'll be our own nerds.
Anyway,
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but some people use that to do a group buying mentality and like the one who gets there first. But then that meant the others dropped out of line, and it allowed other
Well,
people to
it
buy.
means whoever gets there first is probably buying 10.
Right.
So that the others can drop out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But I also know that there's probably scenarios where they start off doing that, realize what they have in their hands, and say, you know what,
We'll all
I'm
buy
next.
10.
I'm going to buy 10 too, and I'm going to buy 10, and if they have that kind of money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't like the mentality of it's not our fault. It's all Wizards. Wizards 100% was wrong. They should have printed more. They knew this was going to be the hottest thing of the year. They knew darn well. They told their shareholders it was going to sell out. And I think that the price point was a reflection of the fact that we'll get more per unit than having to print more. We'll save on printing and earn more per unit. And make
Dude,
the
there's
same amount.
never a situation where you buy a cup, the cup is normal, and then you buy a cup that has Avengers on it, it costs more. There is a cost to IPs, but what they did was this was definitely for publicity. This was definitely to prove how quickly they could sell at a Secret Lair. This was definitely for the
build the hype for Marvel.
shareholders, which is their responsibilities to the shareholders, and then they also have a responsibility to players. It sucks, dude. This is not the right way to do any of this.
No.
Honestly, the answer I think is just go back to whoever wants it gets to buy it, and you'll wait 6 months to get it. And you know what?
Right,
Don't cry about that. Be happy.
Yeah, I think the thing that is most kind of irritating to me, again, as someone who's outside of this, is that there was a system set up where basically everyone could get the product. Then everyone complained because it took too long to get the product, like we kind of mentioned at the beginning of this. And now the new way where everyone gets the product a lot quicker, everyone's upset about because now everyone can't get the product. It's like, you can't have your cake, you need it too. Like, guys, it is impossible for them to just infinitely print cards just over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until the end of time, when that is a cost to them. They are a business. Magic is a business. Yes, it's a game. It's a business. They have to make money to keep making Magic. And if you're going to complain and gripe that you want your cards faster, but then you're also the same person who's complaining and griping because, oh, not everyone had a chance to get them, pick a camp.
Well, except that,
it's
they showed how they can do
ridiculous.
it, and I still think there can be some adjustments to make it better with the Extra Life Secret Lair, because they printed so many, and after those
Sure.
are printed,
I think what
they said they print the demand after that.
Right. I think that's
And
what they
maybe
do.
come up clear up front how long approximately
The
you're
people
gonna
who
have to
get
wait.
in first, then they get it quicker,
Right.
Because they got the print; they're already printed, and the people that come in later, they have to wait. That makes complete sense. I think that's a great way for them to do it. But the other thing we have to remember too is there is a part of this that is like, okay, I'm so happy I've got this because it's valuable. If Wizards, would we also be upset if Wizards came out with this product, I paid $50 for it, and every card in it was worth $3 because they printed so many of them that the cards that I paid $50 are not worth $50? Would we then be upset at that? I can tell you, being honest, I would be upset at that. I do think there needs to be some limit to it so it holds its value. This was not the right percentage because this was crazy. The Duncan was 15 seconds instead of 5 seconds, and he missed out on stuff, probably because of the backdoor thing. But they do have to limit it some because otherwise it won't have any value.
Right, but at the end of the day, it is a game that is meant to be played. They don't limit print Mario Party to make it more valuable. It's a game. It's meant to be played and enjoyed by people. And when you're doing that because you're concerned about, well, all these people have these cards that are worth a lot, and we don't want to make them feel like they're devalued. So we're just going to limit the printing on it, and then those cards go from being $20 to $50 to $150 to $300 to $800. Where we have cards that are $15,000 because they've never been printed again.
Well, I don't agree with the reserve list, but
that's my point.
But you're missing an important part of what this game is, because what you're presenting is that this game is a game to play. It's not. This is a collectible card game. The collectible part is very important. If there were not cards in Magic that were worth a decent amount of money, people would not play this game as much. Part of the reason why many people play this game is because the cards have value. If they don't have value anymore, a lot of people wouldn't play it.
I mean, I would argue against that. I don't think so.
Well,
I don't.
There are some
it is
players
absolutely
that would
true.
stop playing.
There are players that would stop playing and stop buying Magic cards if the value of the cards that they own started going down. Sure, there is extremes in every single camp.
It's a collectible card game, dude. It's collectible.
But the difference is when they initially created this game, I do not think their thought process was, we're going to create a bunch of cards that people are going to hold on to and not do anything with because they're going to be valuable.
And what does that matter what the original intent of the game is? It's what the game is now.
But the point is, it is a game. It is meant to be played.
It is not just a game. That's the point. If you want to play just a game, buy a different game. This is a collectible card
play
game.
Yu-Gi-Oh then.
I would argue because collectible cards are like your sports cards, where they have no other value except for being in existence.
Except this was created as a CCG, a collectible card game. It was specifically marketed that way.
And it's
They
also
did know
marketed
that
as a
was
game.
Well, it was.
Yeah,
right,
The game
exactly.
part's here.
There's
But-
two parts to
yeah.
it.
But
and
it's
there's
just
a balance you have to.
And I love.
right. But the problem is there is no balance anymore. It seems like they're veering more and more to just limited printing everything, making everything stupid expensive, and it's literally they're basically they're buying people out of the game.
I don't-
because people can't buy the cards anymore to play them.
I don't think that's
Except
completely
that,
true.
I can point to where you're wrong, which I love doing, so I will. Foundations.
Yes,
You just
that's what I
talked
was
about
just going to
this
say.
at the table.
Yeah.
Has some great reprints in it.
And it dropped
They
the
are
value.
going to be printed for 5 years.
Well, 3 years I thought.
Well, they said something about 5 years recently, but we'll say 3 years. I thought I saw something about 5 years recently. 3 years, right? For 3 years, these cards are going to be printed. That value is not going to stay up there.
Well, already it's dropping. Doubling Season has been reprinted so many times now. That was a $50 card for the longest time, and now I think it's a $20 card.
Yep.
Edgar Markov's about to be reprinted. I think it's like $90 right now. It'll probably go down to like $30 or $40.
Good. I think it should.
All right.
I
Well,
don't-
that's the
I
balance.
don't think any of these
that's
cards
the balance
should be
part
expensive.
of the game.
The fact that there's cards that you literally can't get your hands on because they're limited printed and they're so expensive to me is a little absurd. But again, that's coming from the standpoint of someone who's actually playing the game to play the game. I don't care about the value of my cards. I have cards that are I don't even realize they're valuable because I don't care. I don't look up pricing.
But the
I'm
game
not
isn't
trying-
just for you.
I understand the game's not just for me, but it's a game. It's
That's your
it's-
opinion, and I'm saying it's not just a game.
It's silly that Wizards is exploiting that, and then people are getting upset that they're exploiting it, and then they keep buying into it.
Well, my point is they're not just exploiting it. They have to protect the balance because, like I said, if I spent $50, and I'm being honest, people can be mad at me for it. If I spent $50 and the cards weren't worth $50, I'd be annoyed. Now, they don't have to be worth $180, which is, or $200, which is what they are now. You spend 50 and you get a $200 value. That's a little
Playing
the balance
devil's
isn't
advocate,
good.
Jeff. I
Yeah.
would argue. I think you're slightly being hyperbolic because I believe if you had bought these Marvel Secret Lair, and then down the road they were not worth what you paid. Let's say they're worth $30 or $40. And actually, I can point to one where it's true. Walking Dead. You
Yeah.
regret buying the Walking Dead?
No,
cards?
it's worth more than I paid.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's worth about what you paid now.
No.
What about the
it's-
Jewel Lotuses you bought that are not worth that anymore?
Yeah. So
Well, that's different. He specifically bought those cards, but I think he would still enjoy his Marvel cards.
I would, but part of this game for me is collectible. The reason why
Yeah.
I buy Secret Lairs is because they're variants of the cards that that you could already buy, and they look cool.
Well,
and they're
and,
worth
and,
more.
And some of them, they're unique. The
Yeah,
commanders were unique.
they're very cool. They look they look better, and they're worth more. I do like collecting. I do like looking at the value of my collection from time to time. Now, what I'm not doing is thinking that I'm going to retire on that, but it is fun to make the right decision. Oh, I bought this card and it went up. Oh, I bought this card, it went down. That was a bad decision. There's a fun part of the collectible thing there
Yeah.
that I don't
mean,
think they should lose
The
sight
problem
of.
is, Sloan, and I know you don't like it, but it is true. It is both things. It is collectible and it is a card game.
I just feel
which
like
makes there
Wizards.
some difficult decisions for Wizards and some difficult decisions for players.
I just feel like Wizards is airing more towards the collectible. Like you keep saying they're trying to protect the balance. I feel like they're not even protecting it at all. They don't care.
I
Like
just
they just
pointed
want
out
money.
the Foundations. There is a ton of great reprints, which will now effectively at the end of this 3 years they will be worth nothing compared to what they used to be worth.
I don't think that's true.
How
Well,
do
it's
you,
already true. I just told you, doubling seasons used to be 50. Now it's like 20.
and it's going to go down more by the end of
Yeah.
this 3 years.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but because without fail, they'll figure out some way because this
Yeah,
is what they do.
you're thinking they're going to be like, we'll take doubling season out of the print run for these next few or something.
Yeah,
they
they'll-
do that.
they'll- and that's the other thing. We don't know how many of doubling season they printed.
That's the truth. Well, they're shady about how many they print.
Right,
of
exactly.
everything.
So sure, they say doubling seasons in Foundations. How many did they put in there? Do we know? No, of course we don't. They could say they reprinted doubling seasons, and they didn't put nearly as many as
for
they did as a
instance,
little 1/1 white
when
soldier.
they said they put
You know?
Dockside in the list prints, I don't know anybody who pulled one of those.
Right, exactly. That's my point. Just because they say it's in that set does not mean it's just gonna be running around rampant now. Like we have evidence of them
it's in
saying
the set.
they're reprinting stuff,
and I
but we don't know how much they're doing.
People buy
you know?
enough of them, though, where like there are people that can do On the list cards, it's a little more difficult because they're just so rare. But on doubling season, which is it a mythic or a rare?
It's a mythic.
It's a mythic.
So then you even that's a little harder, but you can do it. They can figure out how many there are.
I don't think they're going to do that on this. Yeah. These cards are going to be standard legal.
Sure.
Do you know how many standard players will be furious if they can't actually pull one?
Yeah, because they need 4 of them.
Yeah.
They need,
So I think they are printed.
Yeah, but
I think there will be.
But
plenty,
here's my point,
and I don't think the value. I'm calling it now. The value on doubling season at the end of this. Now my track record is like 20%. Although I did predict the debacle that this was going to be on Marvel, and you were saying we hope it's not, and I said it is.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that doubling season will be sub $10 at the end of this, probably sub $5.
And what's an interesting thing is what will happen is it becomes $10 and then they won't print it for a while. It will grow back its value.
Not to $50 though. Once you printed that many, a 5-year run,
maybe
you've permanently made that so at best they'll be. But it's
That
only
makes me
fair
a little
because
sad.
cards that do the same thing are worth less. Primal Vigor is worth less.
It doesn't do the same thing.
What's the one that does?
Parallel Lives.
Parallel Lives.
It doesn't do the same thing. Meaning doubling season works with planeswalkers. Neither of those do.
Well, yeah, one of them does.
Parallel Lives does.
Yeah, it does.
It's
Okay,
almost
I'll have to
exactly the same verbiage as doubling season.
Yep.
It just has a different name.
So, but anyway, I know. So, as with most topics, Sloan is a purist. He is for the pure love of the game. So he doesn't for the part where it's the collectible. And I get that and I respect that and I love that. But let's move on for a little bit. So the other thing we found out for sure, because people have gotten their oh wait, let's talk about this first. The other part of this is there were players posting, oh, I got my Secret Lair the same day as the thing, and I'm calling shenanigans. They did not get theirs that day. Those are the jackweeds that bought the stuff on eBay.
Jackweed?
They're the ones who bought it on eBay from that guy that was selling them, and they want to cover up the fact that they got them shadily. So they're like, oh, I got mine already. There's no way. Blizzard does not do same-day shipping. And even if they did, it's not same-day receiving. Like, it's just no way.
Just so you know, Parallel Lives just doubles tokens.
Okay. Well, Primal Vigor then does the other probably.
I'll look it up.
Anyway, but so what we did find out, because now legitimate people have gotten theirs. I should be getting mine, and Jeff should be getting his sometime the next week. There are bonus cards with the sets. So they all have Groot, which I think is awesome. I'm going to talk about some of these bonus cards.
All right.
So Master of Ingenuity.
Oh, these are the baby Groots.
Yeah, and it's Baby Groot. I'll put the picture up. That's Baby Groot with
Where are you going to put it? Right
flower.
here?
I'll try and put it between you and Sloan. That
Right
seems
here?
to be- yeah. Yep.
Fan of white.
So I'm not going to go through the cards, but the card is, you can see it's really cute. It's Baby Groot with a flower shield.
Captain America shield.
Yep, Captain America shield.
But it's made of flowers.
Regrowth, which is Storm kind of regrowing Groots
With rain.
with rain. Yeah, it's really cute.
Which put the card under here, the range.
They can't see it if it's that small, but
Oh.
I will just for you. There you go. Sculpting Steel, which is Groot in Iron Man armor with Tony Stark kind of grinning in the background. That's really cute. Again,
These are all good cards too, by the way. Very playable cards.
yeah, they are.
Yeah, and all the pictures of the Groot basically are kind of hinting like, hey, you could put this in this deck.
Well, they come with that deck.
right, yeah, like this.
So
is
the
for-
first one comes with Captain America. The regrowth comes with Storm because she's
Yeah.
Tony Stark and the Iron Man is obviously in the Iron Man Sculpting Steel.
And we feel pretty confident that these are like guaranteed cards if you bought those.
Yeah.
If you were able to get.
yeah.
These.
Unnatural Growth
That's a good card.
as Groot as Wolverine, and his shrubbery is kind of like
yeah, like
Wolverine's
the
hair.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
really
he has
cute.
claws.
Yeah, and he has the claws. Nature's Lore is Groot on Black Panther's shoulder, baby Groot kind of pointing off in the distance.
It
Really
looks
cute.
like Wakanda waterfall kind of behind him.
Yeah, no, they're really cute cards. And it's a nice little bonus, something you didn't know you were getting.
Which I had said I was really hoping they'd
Yeah,
have
and
bonus
I
cards.
was
You were like,
doubtful.
they won't have it.
Yeah,
And I
because
was
they
like,
already
I don't
announced the
know.
Arcane Signet. I thought that was the bonus.
Yeah.
But they better all be in there. Like if I get a random one, and it might be one of these, but I think it's been confirmed
You're going to
pretty
be
well.
angry about your free card.
Yeah, I haven't heard any. Well,
It's a little
yeah,
silly.
if my free card is a, reliquary tower or something, and it has nothing to do.
I mean, you didn't even think you were getting it. So
anyway,
It's true. I mean, just
enough people have said, no, I haven't seen anybody said, well, I got a bonus card and it wasn't one of these. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's the case.
yeah. And by the way, the other primal, neither of the other cards handle planeswalkers. So that's why Doubling Season is so valuable.
Okay. All right. Well, regardless, it's not going to be at the end of this run. So,
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, a lot will be printed, and they can't not print that forever for, the Eternal format. So even after the 3 or 5 years or whatever, it'll still be printed again at some point. But you didn't have any pro tips, or you did?
I mean, no, not really anything, because unfortunately today we talked a lot about what had happened with the whole Marvel.
Well, you had one
shenanigans.
pro tip.
So
Sign in, right?
Yeah, make sure you sign in if you're gonna do a Secret
So
Lair.
yeah, that's another thing, kind of just real quick that I want to talk about.
Which sucks.
So Jeff and I are the only people I know that checked out without any issues that I know personally. 2 of my friends were on. One of them got through shortly after I did, but he didn't sign in. So when he got to that empty cart thing that we all hit because it had been so long, he couldn't sign in to refresh his cart, even though it said at the top and it said in an email, you make sure you sign in. But he was able to quickly go to he could still go and add things to his cart and check out. So he was able to get a couple of the Secret Lairs, just not the full bundle.
Right.
I
Meaning
think-
because he was still past the queue.
Right.
So whatever was left, he could put in his cart,
Right.
but it didn't save what he had from the beginning.
Right. So he
which is
couldn't get
why I got Arcane Signet and you did not, because it didn't matter that we bought approximately the same time. It mattered when your saved stuff hit that.
Yeah, it didn't matter when you added it to your
20-minute
cart.
start.
It mattered when you
Yep.
got to the checkout, which is why that skipping the line thing was so valuable.
Yep.
Because to me, they should go with the alternate system that other sites use, where when you add it to the cart, it's saved for you for 10 minutes or whatever, or an hour.
100%. I
Yeah.
don't know why they don't do that. It's crazy.
I don't either. But anyway, and then another friend, now she was vague about when she signed on. And at one point she said, when we said we've been waiting 3 hours, she said almost 2 for me or something. And I'm like, you got on too late. And she goes, no, I meant over 2. And I'm like, it's still too late. She goes, well, it was almost 3. And I'm like, that's a very different thing from almost 2. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know
5
exactly.
or 10 minutes would have made all the difference signing in.
Yeah, no, I think, especially with the line jumpers. I keep wanting to say claim jumpers. But this wasn't a gold mine. It was just magic cards.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they're worth now, it's
Yeah.
kind of is wild.
So you did need to sign in. And there was, like I told Jeff, there was kind of rules on how you could make it easier on yourself without cheating. And those that didn't do that probably ended up, worse off than us. But don't just go into this willy-nilly, knowing that this is how things run and thinking, oh, I can be 5 minutes late. I'm sorry, you probably can't on these big ones. Thinking I don't have to sign in. No, you do. You're going to be in line for over 2 hours. It's not going to save your cart.
And also prepare more time. I made that mistake. It almost hurt me. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea that this would take an hour and 30 minutes to buy.
I did tell you could be in line for over an hour.
Yeah, I just didn't believe you.
Yeah, well.
So, because that seemed ridiculous, but it was true. That's
But-
part of your 20%.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Louise.
But it is a mess. They have fixed the one glitch. Hopefully they fix the second glitch before the next big Secret Lair. Hopefully they fix their internal stuff that they did wrong, such as allowing a 10 limit. There is no legitimate need for a single player to have 10 sets when you have such a limited amount. That is unfair. You are deliberately doing it so that resellers can get it.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So hopefully their stuff is more straightened out. What super aggravates me is, did they apologize? No. Did they admit they made mistakes? No. Have they said really?
Give them time. They're a corporation. They don't do things fast.
I mean, They've had.
I mean, if they
They
have a
may
marketing
still
director,
come-
they
they
should
may
be able
s-
to do it really quick.
They may still come out with an apology. No, because it has to get approval.
oh, and that's another thing too. So
You have to get approval
the
for
Twitter
everything.
It's been
account,
6 days.
the
What?
Secret Lair Twitter account. When the line stopped, it said, "Hey,
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah.
yeah, check out our Twitter account for the latest news on this."
And there was no news
There's
on
no
the
news.
Twitter
It
account.
didn't even say the queue is paused or we're at capacity. Nothing.
And I think we mean X, right?
Yeah, X.
Well, I mean it.
I mean, Elon's saving the world. He deserves us to call it the
yeah,
right company.
certainly.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, it has been 6 days since that happened, and I haven't seen anything come across the across X regarding this at all.
And it may not, but I'm just saying, let's give them a little more time and see, because they've got to figure out what happened too. Like, how at fault are we on this? How do we apologize properly? Maybe they're even thinking, do we do another print run and open this back up for sale? I don't know what they're thinking, but they've got to decide a lot before they come out and say something. So
Yeah, but you could at least put out a statement that says, "Hey, listen, we've heard the concerns and the frustration. We do apologize. We're going to come out later with a more in-depth statement."
are we 100% sure they haven't done that? Because I haven't looked. I
No.
think like Duncan's looking now.
Okay,
Maybe.
so this is aggravating because this is blatantly.
That's not what section
false.
we're in, Duncan.
This is blatantly.
We're gonna open it back
false.
up.
I
Okay.
don't get a triggers section, so mine gets to go wherever I,
I
want
mean,
to
you
put
just
it.
get
It's true.
annoyed the
You
whole
are-
session.
Just like my fat rear end, I can put it wherever I want.
I
So-
have no
that was
legal
awkward.
connection.
Yeah, yeah.
So there
Avoid
is
Duncan
now
when you're at the cons from now on, because
So-
he can put his butt anywhere.
when that popped up and said we're experiencing technical difficulties, check on our Twitter or
Yeah.
our X,
Yeah.
and it gave a link, and I
Yeah.
clicked it. It said nothing. Now there is a post dated for November 4th at 12:14 p.m. Lie, because I was on there then and it was not there. We're currently experiencing technical issue and are working to restore the site as soon as possible. Blah 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 blah.
But it's time stamped. Are you sure you weren't on there at 12:01, 2, 3,
the
4,
other
5,
thing
6,
is,
7, 8, 9,
if
10?
it's 12:14 Pacific time, which is
Yeah.
the time zone that they were using for the Secret Lair, then it was 3 hours too late.
Okay, that could be too.
That
but
could be.
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
But I even I was refreshing the page, I'm like, oh, maybe it doesn't update live
But I
like it
remember
used
we
to.
looked at that pretty early on in the because we got paused pretty early.
Yeah, I thought I checked it before,
it
but maybe
might have been up at
But anyway,
12:14.
so apparently they did say something, but it didn't say it when they first said it was going to say it.
No, again, they're a giant corporation. It took them 14 minutes to say something, which is frustrating.
I
but
mean, yeah,
really not that
would have
surprising.
been, yeah. Anyway, so they need to fix their mistakes, but we need to be, as I said,
We need to, like
decide-
Johnny says, we need to be better.
Well, we need to be better.
Everyone needs to be
But
better.
it's not a fair system, and I don't like to hate the player, hate the game. Am I still going to try and probably get the next one? Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be, but if it's something I want, I am selective with my Secret Lairs now. I don't just buy whichever one, but if they're ones I want, I will buy them.
Yeah,
Well,
and if
when
I'm
you
being
can.
100% honest, for me, the hunt is maybe just as fun as the
That
product.
hunt was not fun.
No, I mean, it was kind of fun for me. But I used to do the Black Friday stuff, even though I didn't need it. I can buy a TV at regular price for one. But I like going and seeing the chaos. And I remember one year we went in, we were getting a TV, and there was a fight that broke out over the second to last. So we got a TV, and then I think it was the last TV, and these two families were pulling the TV both ways, and they were ready to fight. And my wife and I are standing off on the side just holding the TV while someone went and got us a cart because it was a huge TV. And the manager had to come over and break up a fight. So we're watching all this go down. And then they had to take them to the back room to watch a video to see who touched it first. Look, the TV, for me, that's kind of fun. The hunt is kind of fun.
So my Black Story Friday, I never went out. My wife loved it.
No, that's not how you say
My
that.
wife,
That's not how you say that. You don't say Black Story Friday. Black Friday Story. Dude, we are, that's two. We're going to get flagged so hard, dude. Oh my gosh.
okay, my Black Friday
There you
story.
Thank you.
I didn't realize what I did at first. No, I'm starting to think, oh my gosh, what did I just say? I mean, come on. You did use the D word. I'm not going to say which D word, but
Damnation.
No,
No,
it was not that
the
one.
other one.
Oh, damn. That's
No.
also a card.
No,
No.
it was not that. It is nothing that's even on
I'm
a
just
card.
naming cards.
Richard Nixon's nickname.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna. Anyway, he said that one
Ricky.
time. Yeah, that's what they call him.
This episode's gonna go forever.
Anyway, my quick Black Friday story. I said it again. Black Friday story. I said it right.
I know. It's
So anyway, I was a assistant manager. I had just come out of training at a
And
major
what color were you?
big box store. At a major big box store, and one of my first big duties.
Oh, that's right, because you worked for one of
Yeah.
them.
So one of my first
Wow.
big duties that I got to do.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you're the new guy. You get to open the door on Black Friday."
Oh my gosh.
nice.
Yeah. So
Workers' comp. You
Yeah.
get trampled.
I'm not gonna say which retailer, but it's the Mart of Walls, right?
Yeah.
So, I decided
Nobody's gonna guess
I was
that
not
one.
gonna get trampled. So I had them let me outside first, and now I had a key I can let them in. So I had the other managers let me outside first, and I went to the person at the front
So
of the
you're
line.
in the crowd.
I'm standing at the front of the crowd.
That seems safer.
And I said, everybody. And they all stopped because they want to hear what I'm about to say. And I said, I don't want any shenanigans. Let's have a peaceful, friendly Black Friday. Let's have an orderly line. And I was kind of making jokes with people. I'm like, you're looking a little twitchy.
Yeah.
You're looking a little twitchy. Calm down. And people were laughing. And I got them to calm down a little bit. So that when I opened the door, there wasn't a big rush at first.
Well, good on
Eventually there was, but I was able to. The first few that went through it was very orderly.
And what
And
state?
the other
what-
managers were like, "We never thought of trying that. We were afraid for our lives.
We
We
never
thought you might
thought
die
to
when you
talk
went
to
out
the
there."
human
Yeah,
beings.
we were afraid
They're
for you when you
monsters.
went out there. But anyway, well, that's neither here nor there. But don't be kind to each other when you make decisions on what you're going to do. Realize it has repercussions for other people.
Yeah.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's right. Just because Wizards does wrong doesn't mean you should do wrong.
right.
And
The world is.
we have to decide, and I don't know how we do this, but people do this in large groups. We should be able to figure this out. Are we going to continue to take this? Are we going to continue to put up with the shenanigans, put up with the things we want, not being printed in quantities where we can get them, and fighting amongst ourselves and doing things to each other and blaming each other?
Well, I'm not going to do all that nasty stuff, but I'm still going to go and try to get the cards I want.
For now, I think I am too, but
Yeah.
there is a point at which we
'cause
have to say, when Wizards, we have to know where the line is to where we say, nope, that's it. You crossed it. We're done.
Well, I don't.
Because they keep pushing that line and we keep pushing back saying, okay, well, next time maybe.
I still like the game and I still
Yeah.
like the collectible part of it. And the reality is, I don't expect everything to be fair, so I don't have to be all hurt when it's not. I'm sad for everybody that it wasn't fair for. It's really terrible, and I hope Wizards gets their act together. The other thing I would say is our culture is underpinned by unwritten social contracts. When you get up from your chair and you leave your bag by your chair, you come back expecting your chair to still be free, right? There are things like that. When you get in line, there's no one telling you can't get in front of other people. It's a social contract. It's wrong to do.
Right.
And so when you think you're just doing this one thing to get what you want, you're actually destroying that social contract
And
that
you're saying
underpins our society.
your needs are more important than the needs behind you, or you just don't care about them. That's what
Right.
you are saying. You have to be honest with yourself that that's what you're saying.
If everybody just does whatever's best for them, our culture is in big trouble. Like
Right.
we have to have
And
some grace and think of others first, and that's what keeps our culture strong.
Right. And that's something that I think we have struggled with in recent years as a culture.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely think next time maybe think twice before you take advantage.
I
of
like
these
what
things.
Johnny says. Just be
And-
better.
Let's be better.
And
Yeah.
instead of being like, I'm going to cheat the system because the system is broken, address the system. Everybody address Wizards. Tweet out, email, whatever you put on Facebook in a public post where you tag Magic the
In
Gathering.
a respectful, professional,
Right. Don't
like
threaten
a courteous
people.
way.
Yeah.
Don't be
But
silly.
just express your discontent.
Yeah.
If enough people do that, you will see results. But if we keep just fighting amongst ourselves and bickering and mumbling under our breath and then buying the next thing that comes out, there's not going to be any change. So
Yeah.
that's all I got to say about that. Now, final thing before we go. Did you have anything else before we?
No, we've been on the final thing for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, so the last
final
thing I
thing.
wanted to talk about, I promised that I would talk about the giveaway that I'm going to do.
What?
The giveaway I'm going to do.
Can we do this, please? Let's talk. You're giving away a lot. Let's get this all written out and done so the fans get. You're gonna do it. Let's get it all written out so we know exactly what it is before you say it on the air.
Well, I'm going to give it away.
Yes, that's all you have to say. We're not going to give the details yet. It's going to happen. We're going to work on the details, get it all ready for everybody.
Okay, and there will
So
be a
it's fair,
time
so we
limit.
don't end up like Magic just did,
Right.
where there's confusion.
Right. And I will say there will be a time limit that we have to hit our goal.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not going to say 2 years from now if we hit 100 followers, I still have this saved. And I'm
Yes,
still
that's why we're going to take time,
Yes.
write
Okay,
up the
fair enough.
specific rules.
I will still give this away if we hit our goal. So you will have that to look forward to. I will also tell you our YouTube videos have been sporadic. We're getting better at it. We had to work out editing and some different issues. So you may see some older ones pop up that weren't there before. But they will be more regular and closer to the date coming forward. And hopefully within the next couple weeks, we'll have them. So they're coming out on the same day that the audio one does.
Yeah.
So,
Give them some bran muffins.
I mean, according to you,
Yep.
Duncan, you're only right 20% of the time, and you're doing the editing of the videos. They're going to take a long time.
right. Yeah. Yeah. I got to do it like 5 times before I get it right.
Yeah.
So,
Louise.
anyway, that's all the time we have for today.
That's more than the time that we have for it today.
That's the time we had for next week too. So no, I'm joking. I want to thank Jack May at Info Pilgrims as always. I wanted to point out you can contact us, cast@commanderspod.com. Check out our website, commanderspod.com. Check out our patreon.com/commanderspod. Check us out on YouTube. And remember, kill Andrew first.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way in the world of E-Days we play. So tune in, friends, let's draw and go. In the Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave a mark.